Hello, welcome to Animazing, the stories of Kevin Seymour. I'm your host, Aramis, and today I have a very special guest, David Vincent.
Yes, I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. So we are here to talk about Kevin Seymour. We're here to talk about Animaze.
Yes.
And honestly, it's all about the stories here. So honestly, let's quick introduction for yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Of course. So my name is David Vincent. I'm a voice actor. I've been a voice actor for about 20 years, a little over 20 years now. But I got my start in New York City, and I've lived in Los Angeles now for the past 20 years. Some of the stuff that you may know me from, I have a lot of background in anime and in video games. And so video games, real quick, Tekken, I'm Martial Law, Robin from the Fire Emblem franchise, Richter Belmont and Castlevania, and a whole bunch more. But anime is really where I cut my teeth in the voiceover industry. And some of the roles that I'm known for now would be Grimmjow Jaegerjaquez from Bleach, would be Jujutsu Kaisen. I play Kento Nanami. And Gilgamesh in the Fate series, Duval in One Piece, and just a whole bunch more. Some, as we're here to really focus and talk about Kevin Seymour, which I'm excited to talk about him because he was such a wonderful man, would be Code Geass. I played Li Xingke in Code Geass. There's just a whole bunch. I've been at it for quite some time, and it's just a huge part of my career that I'm very, very enthusiastic about. I love working in anime.
No, that energy is what I've been seeing with talking with other talent.
Yeah,
You hear the discussion about, my favorite, for you as an example, my favorite character was Grimmjow or Gilgamesh from the Fate series, or all that stuff. But whenever somebody comes up and discusses either, a very niche character that you were just very fond of, or comes up and talks about, like me being me, discusses, I really like this specific director for this. And just the glow that comes off of these talent, not just actors, but directors it's like, like an actor is a mask. You just see that melt away as they melt into this like giddiness. It's I get to talk about something that I big part of my life.
Yeah. It is. It's exciting. It's it means a lot to us. I speak for myself, but I think that a lot of my colleagues feel the same way. That these characters, these shows, they mean the world to us. I love them, and I love getting to be a part of it and to breathe life into these characters and to work with amazing people that I get to work with, and the whole kit and caboodle is phenomenal, and getting to go to fan conventions and meeting fans and celebrating these wonderful shows that we all enjoy so much. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see a lot of the talent from that era, the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm seeing them go to shows. I'm seeing the Fawns go to shows. I'm seeing, you got Steve Bloom, Bo Billingsley.
Yeah.
You have
OGs.
OGs indeed. And there are some, of course, that I've been hearing rumors are starting to do shows at least locally, like Michael McConaughey out
he's
of LA.
The greatest.
Oh
yeah, I've loved working with him.
Oh, I have like a list of like the people who have the range down here.
Yeah.
You have your Epcar.
Hey, buddy.
Your McConaughey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's the best.
Oh, it's surprising with him. Listening to his my first episode was Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Listening to him.
He's talented. He is really talented.
But his voice has only gotten deeper with age.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to his performance from, 25, 30 years ago. He sounds younger, and his voice, like, he's not dropping it as much. But it's insane seeing how some people are still not only acting, but directing. And what really got me started on this, because I definitely want to get into the stories because it's all about Kevin, is I got to work with Wendy Lee and Jameson Price and pick their brains. Amazing people. Wendy being a very amazing, very, very not strict, but whenever I asked for advice for this podcast, she was very, very critical.
Oh, yeah.
I needed that.
She'll tell you like it is.
Oh, yeah. She will. I said she's like 5 foot some, but she has the personality of like a 7 foot.
Yeah.
7 foot. But with that being said, I really got me wanting to talk to Talon is I look at Kevin and I make a spider web.
Yeah.
Of everyone who's connected and where they went in their careers. Mm-hmm. And they went on to go direct things. And then they made more people who went on and did directing things.
Yeah.
And so my kind of theory, my I forget that, like, was it Sean Day or something from, I forget the TV show, but it's like a conspiracy theorist nut.
Yeah.
With the red lines and the board is, my opinion is that the anime industry in LA would not be where it's at today without Animaze.
I think your opinion is 100% correct. He's Kevin Seymour, Yutaka Masiba, even Carl Masek, right? These are the in reality kind of the godfather of anime in coming out of Los Angeles, and really a lot of the the Castlevanias. These are the early pioneers. Is really what Kevin Seymour was a pioneer in this industry.
Absolutely. There's only one other podcast that's touched on him. I'm blanking on the interviewee, but he was a good friend of Kevin. I've been recommended to him. I forget his name to save my life, but I know he was worked in comics.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he had said was Kevin had went over to Japan to get these animes over here, and Japan was like, "Wait, there's an American coming to talk about anime. We need somebody important to meet him," and they got Hayao Miyazaki.
Wow.
I said, I'll link that podcast episode to this episode because it's the only other podcast episode that talks about Kevin.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit after he passed in 2014. Mm-hmm. But Kevin just didn't do interviews.
Yeah.
He was a very
private.
Recluse, private.
Yeah.
But everything I've ever heard about him, he was just a very good, very intelligent man.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to share my stories with him because he was such a good guy.
Well, let's get into them then before we keep babbling on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, lead us off.
Lead you off. So when I had been doing voiceover for probably 7, 8, 9 years at that point professionally, doing some animation. I used to do like the celebrity death matches and some, but I did a lot of commercial work and things like that. And there are two folks that of my colleagues that really kind of led me towards anime. One of them being Liam O'Brien, who I knew very well in New York City. We were in a sketch comedy troupe together for a little bit. But we had a lot of very close mutual friends and whatnot. And Liam's just a really terrific guy. So he was very integral in getting me involved in anime. But then it was Steve Bloom that actually connected me with Kevin Seymour. So Steve Bloom and I used to have the same agent, and we were very friendly, and we always talked whenever we were auditioning together because we did quite a bit back then. And Steve is, "Hey Dave, you ever do any of this anime?" I'm like, "No, man, you should do this anime." And so he actually gave me Kevin Seymour's business card. Back in the day, he actually had his business card. Gave me Kevin's business card and said, "You need to call this guy." And so I wound up calling Kevin, and I can't remember. I left him a message or whatever. We connected, and he said, "I'm going to bring you in for." And I was a veteran voice actor. I had been doing voice acting for years at this point. "I'm going to bring you in, and I'm going to have you work on this show, and meet you." And basically, he just wanted to meet me and see who I was and who this guy that was being referred by Steve Bloom. Who Steve, obviously they had a very trusted relationship. And so what was funny, I think that he brought me in, and it was one of two shows. I can't remember which one it was. It was either Yukikaze or it was Ghost in the Shell. It was one of those two shows. I can't really remember what it was.
What year was it around?
I think that it was maybe around 2005, 2004, 2005, maybe 2006.
That could have been either from my archive, which I am building. Gonna put that here if anyone wants like a referral.
In 2004, I think it was.
That would have been either, I want to say either Yukikaze or like, it wouldn't be Ghost in the Shell itself. It would have been like Standalone Complex, one of those.
I think it may have been something like that.
Yeah.
I think it may have been Yukikaze.
Yeah.
Is what it was, because it was 2004.
Yeah.
I just remembered. It was 2004.
Okay.
And so I went in to the studio, and I had been doing voiceover professionally for years at this point. 8-9 years, and what I had never done was ADR, and so I walk into the studio and I'm meeting Kevin. He's a nice gentleman, and he's like, Dave, it's nice to meet you, and little small talk, and he's like, why don't you hop in the booth and let's get started. And it was just a few lines. This wasn't a big part that he threw me into because he didn't know me.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of was having me do some background characters and whatnot just to kind of see what my chops were. And so he puts me in the booth, and in Los Angeles there's a system, right? And when you're doing ADR, it's the beep system. It's 3 beeps.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the beep system from Ramirsa, and I've also heard of the lack of beep system from Ramirsa, Skip, Michael Sorek, the crack for air system. The old dub days were wild.
Oh, it was crazy. It was. I don't know how they got stuff. Even when I started, it was like pretty archaic. And so, at any rate, he throws me in the booth, and I'm in there, and what I'm used to, having done this, for 9 years at this point, is that you hear the director say, "We're rolling," and you're off, and that's your action, right? That's your cue to start.
Yeah.
And I had never done ADR, and they have the three beep system, and it's beep, 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 and on that fourth beep is when you come in. Well, Kevin. This guy was so awesome. I'm cocky, because I'm in there like I'm showing him, like I'm gonna show him what I can do, man. And I go in and he's like, "Are you ready? We're rolling." And this beep goes, and it kind of startles me, and I'm like, "Huh, that's weird." And I hear this other beep, and then another beep, and I'm just like, "Huh." And I'm sitting there, and then it's like, "Okay, Dave, one more time." And he does it again, and those beeps are going off, and I'm like, "What the heck is that, man?" And then finally, he's just like, "Dave, have you ever done ADR?" And I'm like, I don't think so. And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Here, let me come in there for a minute." So he comes into the studio, and he walks me through what the heck I was doing, took mercy on me. I mean, I was a little bit cocky going in there. I was so humbled. And he was so cool to me. He was so nice and genuine, and was just like, "No problem. Here's how this works. This is what we do." Got through the session, and I was playing man number 2, or nothing really major out there or whatnot. But I got through the session, and I did okay. And he sat down with me after the session, and without me even saying anything, he's like, "Hey, you did really good." He goes, "Here's what I'm going to recommend that you do." And he's like, "Go home," and he goes, "Watch The Simpsons." And he goes, "I want you to practice the beeps." And he goes, "Just record it." And back then it was VHS. Yeah. Record it on your VCR, and then play it back and practice coming in and with beeps that you're going to create yourself, and come in when Homer talks or whatever it was that he was saying,
Yeah.
And so I just always appreciated that about him, is that I came in, I was young, arrogant, cocky, and thought I knew everything because I had been doing it for a while, had done animation before, and did not know a darn thing about what I was doing. And he just absolutely was so professional and kind and chill, he was just easy. And then he didn't throw it in my face that I didn't know what I was doing at all. He just was very kind to me. And then he invited me back, and I got called back to do more minor and bit parts and things like that. And then I think it was yeah, I mean, then I just kind of started to snowball there, and Liam started introducing me to people, and then Kevin introduced me to Yutaka Masiba.
Yeah.
And that's how I began that relationship, and it just began to snowball. But that was where I first met Kevin Seymour.
That is incredible. And just to put something in there, Yutaka is the owner. I think he's the owner of ZRO Limited.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was like if you watch any of the Animaze dubs, it usually either says ZRO Limited with Animaze or Animaze with ZRO Limited.
With ZRO Limited, yeah.
They were like two halves of a whole.
Yes.
And, they go back, I think Yutaka goes all the way back. I want to say Ambassador Magma was one of his first ones.
Yeah.
With Kevin.
Yeah.
And that also, I think, starred Steve Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
I will be getting to that archive eventually. But my knowledge will pick up as I keep building it. But now Yutaka is on the list for sure for me.
Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah.
So,
good people.
Yeah, no, one thing that I appreciate with your story on Kevin there is, I've worked with people in my industry, when I was working, and a lot of them, they'll get mad at you, and they'll say you need to do better, but they won't give you a solution, or but the way that Kevin handled that being so like, hey, here's something to, like, giving you something to practice on.
Yeah, he gave me something to work with,
and something that is enjoyable. Like The Simpsons, like he could have gone something boring, but it's like he picked something that I'm assuming he really enjoyed.
Yep.
It's like, and picked something that had diverse, like, vocal boxes.
Yeah.
You had Homer, you had Bart, Marge, and Lisa. Like you could, like that. Not only I think you could practice, the beeps, but you could also practice range.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion on that. But
yeah.
That is there is humor to be found in that, but it just, the fact that you snowballed. I know Liam, for me as well, he's a dude, has range.
Oh, he's got crazy range.
He does.
Liam's extremely talented.
I know there's a show coming up I'm trying to get into that has Liam. I think it's Liam, Travis, and Laura.
Uh-huh.
I think it's Anime Frontier in December of this year. They're coming out to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I definitely am going to try to get in there and meet him. But I'm still working on that. But no, Liam, he actually plays one of my favorite characters in Code Geass, the mad scientist.
Yes.
Very, like, loopy. I don't want to say, like, Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
But, like, the dude literally thought, like, the character, and I'm blanking on Lloyd.
Yeah.
Professor Lloyd, or Dr. Lloyd, literally, like, in that story was like, hey, you seem interesting. What are you working on? Oh, that's a nuclear bomb. Let me help you make that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to deep dive into that one because it is my favorite, and I will babble.
Yeah.
But no, like the fact, and I've heard other stories with Kevin doing similar things with other actors, with other talent. I've heard times where, just to throw this story in here because I think Kevin always likes giving direction and authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that I heard from Joe Ramirza about Kiefer Sutherland whenever they were recording. I want to say it was Armitage 3 Polymatrix. Because Skip had played the lead in the first Armitage, and then they did a Hollywood casting. And same thing, actor comes in, and Kevin would try to give, like, hey, your character's, like, very far away. Project like you're far away.
Yeah.
And then, but in this case, actor didn't bite, actor flailed out, but Kevin didn't, from what I heard in the story, Kevin didn't react. He didn't, like, bite back. He wasn't that type of guy.
No, not in the least.
And from what I heard after that, most of the time those actors, like Kiefer, would go after the fact and apologize to, at least I know he apologized to Joe, because Joe Ramirza was one of Kevin's, like, lead audio engineers. Mm-hmm. But, somebody could get mad at him and he wouldn't, I don't think he'd take it personally, I don't think.
No, I don't, it doesn't seem like he would. There was never any, I never had experienced any opportunity to have any tempers flare, when I was working with him. It was always very professional, jovial at times. Kevin wasn't like a super gregarious type of a guy. He was kind of quiet, kind of reserved, but had a sense of humor.
Oh yeah.
And very professional, and he knew his stuff. He really knew his stuff.
No, that's what I've heard. I've had plenty of conversations where he'd just have an idea and he'd call somebody on a holiday, and I think it was like Jameson, like call him on like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Jameson? I think it was his wife or his partner or somebody would be like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I gotta take this. It's Kevin.
Yeah.
But no, just he, like, whenever I hear these stories about Kevin, I'm definitely more of an extrovert than Kevin is, but just the way he carries himself, I can relate to that. Being that type of person who like drives for authenticity, who drives for creativity, who drives for, giving people a chance.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drew me to him, his symphonic way that he directed your highs, your lows, your in-betweens, and just overall, like, it's what drew me to dig and dig and dig, and I found a wealth of just love and appreciation for a man who most people don't even, the man had 20 pseudonyms.
Yeah.
Pseudonyms.
Yeah. That was what we did back then.
Oh, yeah. I think he was the king, though. The man, because I want to get to the next story. The man in the Ghost in the Shell episode, I'll use that one, had 3.
Yeah.
One for the director role, one for one of the named characters. I think it was Garbage Collector A or B.
Yeah.
It was he was paired with Doug Stone.
Yeah.
Very good combination. Doug was in a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And then the third one was just a ferryman who got thrown into the water in an action scene. But 3 different pseudonyms.
Yeah.
But
that was pretty commonplace back then.
Yeah, it's making my life very difficult with this archive.
Yeah, it's tough to figure out because it was a union. It was the Screen Actors Guild back before they merged with the AFTRA, which is the American Federation of Radio and TV Artists, right?
Yeah.
And so back then there were just these kind of wonky rules that were enforced very, very much, and they're less so today. They're a lot more forgiving. There's a lot more just different. The industry's changed a lot.
Yeah.
This is 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, at any rate, that's why you have all those pseudonyms back then with all these actors with different names.
Yeah, and I'm glad that a lot of these actors are coming forward now and saying, hey, I played this, like, the convention scene is blowing up, so, like, I played this character. And then there's websites that catalog that.
Yeah.
But I think I've still found a few old pseudonyms that either haven't been cataloged.
I'm sure they're out there. I remember when I first got started, the only way that I would really find out who some of the other people on the show were, because we always record separately, we record by ourselves, is these random anime forums from way back in the day, and I would recognize these names. Doug Stone is one, Jameson Price.
Yeah.
Obviously I knew Steve very well, but there was a lot of the actors, what I call the OGs, in the anime world. Patrick Seitz, who had different pseudonyms.
Seitz was active all the way back then?
Patrick Seitz was active. I think I first worked with Patrick in maybe 2006.
That tracks.
Yeah, is when I first worked with him on a video game called Tales of Fantasia.
I've heard of the Tales series. I play a lot of games, so the Tales of games. I haven't played much of them, but I'm familiar with them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my brain does this. I'm sorry.
All good.
It gets stuck in a loop. Like, I want to talk about this, and this. Do we want to crack? You had mentioned to me that you had a few more stories as well.
Yeah, I think another story that I can share about Kevin is he cast me in Code Geass.
Yeah. And
Code Geass, and one of the great things about Kevin is once you got to know him and he got to know you and he trusted you, that's a big thing, is he had stuff that he needed to get done. And so if you were skilled and he could trust you, he'd start calling you in. Yeah. And so he called me in. I don't think, it's been so long, it's been quite a few years now, but I don't remember if I auditioned for Code Geass or if I just got the part, if Kevin just called me and offered it to me.
Yeah.
I can't really remember, but I do remember getting the part and going in. I think we were at Salami Studios, which I don't even know if it's still there. I think it is.
Was it Salami?
I think it was where we were recording it.
Because from my research, and this could actually correct my research, it looked like it was one of the last ones that was recorded at Magnitude 8, I thought.
No, I can tell you, I don't think it was at Mag 8.
Okay.
Magnitude 8, that's where I worked a lot.
Yeah.
You went into Magnitude 8, and that's where I met Yutaka,
yeah.
right? Where Kevin introduced, that was the studio that I went in for the very first time, where I worked with Kevin. It was at Mag 8.
Yeah, which is...
Magnitude 8, for those of you who don't know, it's Magnitude 8.
Yeah.
Which it was run by Les and Mary Claypool.
Yep.
Who are two of the most delightful human beings in the industry. And Magnitude 8, it's everybody who's been in the industry as long as we have. You worked at Magnitude 8. Magnitude 8 was an iconic place to go work. They had the pinball machine. They had the waiting area, and it was just such a relaxed and cool place to go work. But that's where I first worked with Kevin Seymour, was at Magnitude 8. That's where I first worked with Yutaka Masiba. I worked with Ruben Langdon for the first time there. I worked with a lot of really, just talented, what I term as the OGs,
Yeah.
At Mag 8. But I think at Code Geass, I don't know, man. It's been so many years.
Yeah, this was like 08, I think.
I thought it was at Salami.
I can dig into it more because some of my other sources that aren't like your typical BTVA, because I've been digging deep into the forums and everything, is it looked like the last one that was at Magnitude 8 was Code Geass. But
okay. It may have been.
It may have been.
Yeah.
But if... that could be something that I could fix in my archive. Is if not, then what was the last thing? So that's a question in the back of my head is, okay.
Well, and sometimes they change studios in the middle of the season, too.
Yeah,
so they may have started, because I played Li Xingke, and he wasn't in, it was R2. So,
it was season 2, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it was season 2 was at Salami, and they had
that might be it, because R1 was, because they were recorded back, like, one after another, because...
Yeah.
Code Geass, just to throw a little bit of history, Code Geass in Japan came out in 06 for Season 1 and 08 for Season 2.
Yes,
but,
that's right.
It wasn't until Season 2 came out that they wanted to dub Season 1, just from my basic knowledge.
Yeah.
I definitely want to know more because it's my favorite anime. But it was one of those things where they did Season 1, and then I believe they went straight into Season 2 for recording, which I think helped with, consistency.
Yeah.
Just because it was and I'm not going to spoil the ending of Season 1 of Code Geass, but Johnny Young Bosch, Yuri Lowenthal, Kate Higgins, and Karen Strassman killed it.
Yeah.
In the finale. If you haven't checked it out, it's a phenomenal series. 25 episodes per season, 2 seasons, and then there's a movie and a sequel series. Which that one, I'll just throw this in the air because the only time I can talk about it was picked up and dubbed by Michael Center Nicholas. Did Rosé of the Recapture, which as somebody who loved Kevin's Code Geass, I think Michael did a better job than what I saw with like Akito, which was another series.
Yeah.
I think, it doesn't hold the same candle, but I think he was able to capture that the emotion and the fact that a lot of the cast who worked with Kevin came back and reprised their roles, which, they're big names now, so the fact they were able to make time to do it was, I think, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But continuing on, sorry, I tangent, so... But yeah, so I'll look into the Magnitude 8 thing with Code Geass, but you were going in recording.
Well, I was just going in to record, and it was my last time working with Kevin, was on Code Geass.
Okay.
And he was, again, I just humbled by, the fact, because I'm pretty sure he just, offered me the role. And always humbled for that and going in and working with him. But what we were talking about with Kevin was his directing style. Yeah. And one of the things that I really enjoyed and admired about his directing style was just how he was able to, he was so knowledgeable. and so understood the stories that he was directing.
Yeah.
And as an actor, oftentimes we don't know, the story. We don't have, we especially back then, because the manga was a lot less available to us.
Code Geass didn't even have
It didn't even have a manga.
It had
right?
one after.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even to the same story. Like, it was slightly changed.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there were alternate timelines.
Yeah.
I know for that manga, I plan on the comic guy I mentioned, who was good friends with Kevin, actually worked as an editing those.
Yeah.
So but yeah, and it was there was a lot of like extra media that just never made it to the West, or it was later. So it was purely just the anime, which is impressive. Figuring out the story just with the anime, with no manga material.
Yeah, and so as the actor, I was going in flying blind. I didn't know, because they don't give you the scripts beforehand. You're not going to know anything.
Yeah.
And so Kevin just was really wonderful about explaining why, as the actor, why you're saying what you're saying, what's going on in the scene. Giving us just that kind of detail, I thought that was just exceptional to help us really deliver a performance that was believable and that was going to do justice to the character, and at that point in time, it still is. Now it's more of a preference whether the audience wants to listen in English or Japanese, but back then they're and this is much less these days.
Yeah.
But back then there was a real ridge, right? There was a divide where some people hated the English actors. Yeah. Because way back in the day, they just compared it and whatnot. But the quality of the acting, the quality of the English dubs has skyrocketed over the past 10, 15 years. And so, but anyway, I'm digressing. Back then, he really cared and took the time to work with the actors to explain what was going on, but at the same time kept us on schedule, delivered the product. So he was just he was an expert.
Yeah. I'm also the type of person who likes to go into tangent. One comment that you said about dubstep, because I'm born in 99, so I grew up as those dubs were coming out, and I would say one of the stigmas at the time was you had another studio up in New York that was making dubs.
Yep.
4Kids Entertainment. Love a lot of them, and I've met some of the writers for that and some of the directors, and the issue there is they had to censor a lot of stuff. So people saw those dubs, the One Piece dub probably being the most notorious. I watched that as a kid. And yet, partially, I'll admit, it kind of turned me off a bit. But it wasn't until listening to Kevin's dubs. It was Kevin's dubs, in 08, and then 08, 09, and then it was the Naruto dub. Being, I think that was like 04, 06 on Toonami, which shout out to Steve Bloom being the voice of Toonami. Got to throw him in there. We love Steve. But it was those that kind of, Naruto for the character, but Code Geass for the authenticity, the detail, because it didn't feel like it even matched what the story was. You had a Britannia being your like American British Empire taking over Japan. So, but the main language that's being spoken is English. I think it felt more authentic to the world.
Yeah.
But I would love to see an edit where you spliced in the English dub and the Japanese dub when characters. I think that'd be very fascinating. But sorry, I also
tangent. All good.
But yeah, so you'd go and you. Authenticity.
Yeah, he's just really, he cared. He was an expert at what he did. He cared, and I just loved working with him. He was a really great director and just great human being.
Yeah, no, that honestly, it's like listening. It's you hear the same thing so many times. Like, is it a broken record, or is it like enhancing the fact that he was such a good man. He was such a good man. It's like he was, and what makes me sad is, directors don't get a lot of love in the industry.
They don't, and I really think they deserve more. I really do. I believe that. I've worked with just incredible voice directors, and they bring so much to the table. Alex Von David is a phenomenal voice director. Patrick Seitz, phenomenal voice director. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn,
yes.
phenomenal voice director. Wendy Lee, Tony Oliver. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Michael Sorek. I love working with him. You know, I mean, and one of the things that makes it so much fun is because, number one, these are great people that you really enjoy working with. But two, just seeing how much care and attention and effort that they bring to the table when it comes to the stories that we're telling. And that makes it so compelling, and it just makes it so fulfilling getting to work with people like that. And Kevin Seymour, I think, you know, again, was the godfather of it. You know, he's really, in my opinion, one of the pioneers of anime in at least that came out of Los Angeles, California.
Oh, absolutely. And like half those names you just listed, Oliver, Sorek, Lee, Elizabeth McGlynn, all worked at, you know,
all of them,
all of them, Bloom, all of them.
We all, if you talk about your spider web, right?
Yeah.
And everybody that is in the industry, has intersected or worked or came from or first worked, like myself. My first work in the anime industry was with Kevin Seymour.
Yeah.
My very first loop, is what they call them, was laid down working with Kevin Seymour.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been doing it for 25 years now.
And
20 years. Right? Yeah. And so it all goes back to Kevin.
And you've been in some of the like biggest God you've gone on to be in some of the biggest like shonen animes, even up to this day. I think JJK, which I need to watch those. I'll be the first to admit I have not watched the newest stuff.
We gotta see it. We got a movie coming out next month.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be released in theaters, AMC theaters, IMAX.
What's the name of it?
It's Jujutsu Kaisen. Execution, I think.
Nice and sweet, not one of those long titles. But I think the last time I went to go see an anime movie in theaters, I think it was Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. Which phenomenal cast there. The lead for that, actually, what's his name? He's also in Code Geass season 2. Spike Spencer.
Oh, Spike's great.
Spike.
I love Spike.
I make the joke that Rolo, Spike's character in Code Geass Season 2, is just an alternate version of Shinji Ikari from Evangelion. Mm-hmm. But basically, he gets it's like he wishes to have a brother, have a sibling, and then, just reincarnated. And I've had the pleasure to meet Spike years ago, like three years ago. Absolutely sweet man.
Yeah, great guy.
Apparently an amazing cook too. Like
that's what he does. Yeah, that's his thing, and he's a great cook.
But the names, it makes me fanboy. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn probably being the number one person that I would love to just fanboy about Kevin. Whenever I was reconstructing Kevin's website, there's a page on there. I should remember it, but it mentioned Mary Elizabeth McGlynn's, like, I think relative or family or something, and it just goes to show, like Mary, Steve, all of them were there at the forefront. Like, I don't know if they were there during like LA Hero, if you're familiar with LA Hero at all. So just to throw that in there, before Animaze was even a thing, there were like 3 or 4 dubs that Kevin worked on. I think it was like the Macross stuff and Orgus, which was under the name LA Hero. And then I think it's whenever he paired up with Magnitude 8 that he went on and did Animaze.
Got it.
Inc. Okay. And then Yutaka came along. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think I remember this now because I have the Ambassador Magma VHSs, because those had the LA Hero branding. I think those came out. Steve Bloom, Yutaka, how do you say it's
Masiba.
Masiba. Yeah. I keep on saying Masiba like it like.
I could have mispronounced his name all these years. I always knew him as Yutaka Masiba, but I never called him by his last name. I always just called him Yutaka. Okay,
but so Yutaka. So my kind of and I'll get these answers eventually, but I'm thinking, going into Animaze, because it was Yutaka and Kevin and Magnitude 8, so the Claypools. all going in. I do want to mention one more name because she has also been in most of this stuff, and we forgot to mention her, Leah Sargent.
Oh, yeah, Leah Sargent. I didn't have too much interaction with Leah Sargent, but yeah, Leah is definitely an OG.
Like, I know she directed Trigun, which was, I think, Johnny Young Bosch's first role.
His first role, yeah.
His first role. Like, if we're mentioning, Wendy and Mary, we can't forget Leah. Like, Leah, I don't think she's doing much ananymore, but...
Yeah, I haven't heard much.
Yeah, but I definitely...
Be retired from it, yeah.
I still plan on reaching out to her, to whatever I can. Did you have any more stories to tell?
For Kevin Seymour specifically, those are really the ones that I can mention from him. I worked with him so often, or not so often, but I worked with him enough.
Yeah.
Over the course of the years, at Mag 8.
Mag 8, yeah.
And in the early days, and what I can share about Kevin Seymour, other than the very specific stories that I've shared with you about him, is just what a great guy he was and how well respected he was. When he passed away, I happened to be out of town for his funeral or celebration of life, which is what the industry got together and really celebrated him.
Yeah.
And I remember just being so disappointed that I couldn't make that celebration because he meant a lot to me, and just the turnout of industry people that had all worked with him and that all loved him. To get together and celebrate him, I thought was remarkable. And to have that level of respect for somebody like that. Was just outstanding. So those were the main stories that I can tell you about my interactions with Kevin, and I can tell you just over the years of working with him during that period of time that he was really just one of a kind, and really I think was the pioneer in Los Angeles.
No, absolutely, and the celebration of life. That is one thing that, honestly, I think that's a good way to summarize of what I'm trying to do with this podcast.
Yeah. A
celebration of, life for him, but more so of the amount of people that
he touched, he impacted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so capture that same emotion. I also hope, I've heard that there is footage from it, and I want to make sure that is saved.
Yeah, I hope so, I think it's really good what you're doing, because he had such an impact, and I don't know if he ever really knew or realized what impact he was making.
I don't think and this is just coming, relating to him. I think everyone who's an expert in something, you said he was a genius. I think what made him do that was he was the most critical on himself. That's my opinion anyway. As somebody who aims to, I aim to be a perfectionist to a degree. I've gotten better over the years, but, when my first episode, when I released it, I listened to bits and pieces. I hate listening to my own voice. I really do. But when I listened to it, I was like, this could have been better. This could have been better. It's like, I knew the topic, but I still... it ate at me, and there are times where I would I'd want to express myself, being more extroverted, but I'd sometimes just lean into, I just wanna just be alone. For me, I like to code when I'm like that, or work. Recently I've been working with audio because of this podcast. I'm like, I want to do something creative and building or research, but that's just my opinion of. Just from what I hear from other people and put together with my own thoughts, is that in order to be that smart, you have to be the most critical on yourself. But if nobody really saw that side of him that often, it could be seen as being more reclusive or more.
For sure,
yeah. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, but
no, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. I know that for me, I'm new. I'm 26. I started working on this project, getting the ideas together for it about a year and a half ago, and I will always shout them out. Jameson Price for just listening to me having somebody just listen, and then Wendy Lee helping me refine my pitch, kind of refine it into a small like paragraph, which I think I have it as the description for this podcast, and just the criticality of it all, like of her doing that, it kind of, and then a life event later on, just kind of kicking it into like, I need to make this because, like the whole mentality of, I wish I had it with me, the quote that I use, it's the only piece of footage that I found at Kevin. Steve Bloom saved it on YouTube. I've since saved it, but just to kind of paraphrase it is, if you really want to do something, you will. It will happen. You just got to, be don't be obnoxious. Be persistent, and you'll happen.
It'll happen.
It will happen. Yeah. I think I basically
manifestation.
I think I really almost just said it perfectly without even thinking. That's how like impactful that was. Even with Kevin's, for that one, he was very like, it was not wabi sabi. It was just like, wasn't smooth. It was like choppy. But
yeah,
I don't have enough footage of him in normal talk, so I don't know if that's his normal cadence or not. But no, I am beyond the moon. I really, really am. And I'm hoping that with this interview that I'm able to, the LA is very much a skeptic. Nobody wants, people are hesitant to work with somebody or interviews, give an interview when it's, new kid on the block. They could be, bluffing. But I think Joe Ramirez also is like persistence. Keep at it. That's the advice I've been getting, is just keep going. I guess if there's no other, stories from like animes in general.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, can we go into that? Can we go into
Sure.
just animes? Because it's not just about Kevin, but it's about his legacy.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you mentioned to me you worked with Castlevania.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I recorded Castlevania at Animaze.
Yeah.
At Mag 8. And, it was so fun. And this is Yutaka. There's a story about Yutaka. I came in and I was doing Richter Belmont in Castlevania. And I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of them. And this is over a decade ago.
It would have, just to throw it, there's 6 titles it could have been, but it might have been Rondo of Blood.
Maybe. I don't know.
The PSP, DS, and PS2. It could have been one of those.
One of those.
One of those.
But what was so cool is that these guys, because most studios in Los Angeles, you don't really get to know the people as well as you do. But I continued to work with Animaze, and I continued to work with Mag 8. And so I got to know these folks over time, over the years, and we became very friendly with each other. And I remember Yutaka was so cool because my mother was in town. And at the time, she's since passed, but she was living in Missouri at the time. She came out for a visit.
Yeah.
And, this is a long time ago. And so I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. I've got a session at Mag 8. I'm going to see if they'll let my mom come in and, kind of watch and see what I do in these booths. Because, she didn't totally get what I was doing for a living. And so I remember going in, I brought her out with me to the studio, and I had sat her down in the waiting area, and Yutaka was there, and the clients were over, so the Japanese were over from Tokyo for this recording session. And I remember asking Yutaka, I was like, hey man, do you think it'd be cool if my mom went in and sat? And he was just like, and the thing is the Japanese are very particular about how things are done. He's like, Dave, I don't know, man. And he's like, just, I don't know. I don't think we can do that. I said, don't sweat it. No big deal. And I said, hey mom, you're just going to check. My mom's no problem, whatever. No big deal at all. I'm just happy to be here. Mm-hmm. And so I go in and we're doing the session, and not even, I'd say 10 minutes into the session, and you're in the booth, right?
Yeah.
There's a glass window, and you can see into where the engineers and the directors and everybody are. And about 10 minutes into the session, in comes my mom with Yutaka. he got the Japanese to agree to let her in. And he's just like, and my mom at the time, I mean, she was probably like in her late 60s, and didn't know a darn thing about any anime or any of the stuff that I was working on. So she didn't know anything. And he's just like, you can't tell anyone what he's here working on. She's like, I don't even know what it's called. And so at any rate, it's a funny story. I have a fond memory of that and Yutaka and Mag 8 and Animaze, bringing her in to do that. But there's just so many good times, being at the studio. I worked with Mary Elizabeth when she was at Mag 8 on a video game franchise called Disaster Day of Crisis. And this was a video game I worked for 2.5 years on this game.
Yeah. At
Mag 8. And it only got a Japanese release in English. In Japan.
Not the first one that's done it.
Not in North America. Yeah.
That's the second one I know about. There's another one that is Animaze. That one I think is ZRO purely.
Or ZRO, yes.
Yeah, that one's ZRO, but I count them. I mentioned, I'm like, I'm going to talk about ZRO. I'm going to talk about Mag 8. I'm going to talk about Shadowbox.
Yeah.
But there's another one. It's a sequel to a game. And same thing. It's Japanese only with an English dub. Yeah. And I'm like, that's wild.
Yeah. There's Japanese release and only in English. And it got a European release too. So I know that those two markets, it went to market there. Yeah. And it was the first big RPG on the Wii, the Nintendo Wii.
The Wii. Yes. Not even like the PS2 or but the Wii.
Yeah. And I worked on that thing for 2 years. And then it did not get a North American release. So, but
I might have to track that one down. I'm a games I mentioned earlier are what I like to play. And since I already have to track down, I'll find it later. It's in the archive. It is a really cool cover art. But I'll have to track that one down because I think I saw that or a similar ZRO one that was worked on by Mary. So it was weird. That market time was weird of having English dubs for Japanese times, only or European.
It's actually where I got that game is where I got introduced to mocap, motion capture.
Really?
Yeah, Ruben Langdon was overseeing the motion capture for that game. And I became absolutely fascinated with that. I was like, that is the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen. I want to do that. And I remember that's how I started. And I actually wound up doing mocap. And I got into mocap for a few years and got to go work on a movie in Japan. But it all started in that Magnitude 8.
And that just, that right there proves that the spider web, it keeps spiraling. It just keeps going and going and going. And I think every talent has that kind of that trajectory, that pathway of boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And, you've gone, over 20 years in the industry and you just kept going. Kept doing amazing things. You're still doing amazing things. And I know in the voice acting scene and then in the background scene, I assume as well, do you still do mocap or have you since?
No, I haven't done mocap now for quite a few years. That's a tough nut to crack, and I did for a little bit there. I got a few movies and whatnot, but I haven't really auditioned. Those auditions are so few and far in between. Yeah, and so
Well, everyone wants an Andy Serkis.
Yeah,
but they're not. That's like the golden gem right there. The man can be anything. Yeah. So, but that's all these stories capture what this podcast is all about. If there is nothing else, because I think I have taken up an hour of your time, and I appreciate every single story.
Man. Here's what I'll say as we sign off. Yeah, is that I have a lot of gratitude for the industry that I've been in, and you're right. And when you and I first started talking about this, it excited me that you were talking about Kevin Seymour and Animaze and because that's where the spider web starts. And that's where it starts for me in this industry, And so I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to do your podcast because to me it does pay homage to somebody who I think deserves it. And it pays homage to the pioneers in the industry, Yutaka, ZRO, Animaze. These are the guys that really started, the anime industry in Los Angeles. And this is where I got my start. And Liam O'Brien, Steve Bloom, but then of course, Kevin Seymour and Yutaka, Masiba and those guys. And so I'm happy that you're taking this on to tell the story because those are brilliant stories that could have gotten lost.
Yeah, and just to throw a few more like inspirations of why I did this, not like for how I wanted to format this podcast, there were two podcasts that I looked at. One of them, Steve Bloom's. His podcast bringing industry people in and them telling their industry stories.
Yeah.
That was one inspiration. There was another one, Tara Sands does one. She, New York scene, 4 kids. She did it very similar to how I'm, not exactly to mine, but more so of, she's industry stories for 4 kids, for different directors, all that, but definitely neither of them focusing on one individual or one company because they went and did other stuff. New York, at Central Media Park. Mm-hmm. Steve Bloom's interviewing, I think the one I watched recently was like Grey Delisle, and they were talking, all sorts of industry stuff. But I looked at those and I was like, that energy of like, I want, not your typical panel questions. I want stuff that's unique, exciting. And that's when I landed on stories because what's a good story if you're not smiling, cheek, ear to ear, like a kid who's just opened a Christmas present. And so, at some point, I want to be able to add Steve's stories, Mary's stories.
Oh, for sure.
Yutaka's, all of theirs. And just my goal is to make this as big as possible because, nobody's done a podcast like this from what I can tell. And to be honest, I'll say this, I don't think I was, deserved to be the one. And that's just me beating myself up. I never met him. I wasn't there. You have Steve and Tara, they're doing podcasts. They were in the industry. I'm an outsider. I'm an engineer coming into this who always had a fascination with building things and breaking things down. But the amount of I don't want to say inspiration, the amount of just push I've been getting from the industry vets like yourself, Jameson, all of them has just been overwhelming. And so I do really thank you. But I think this wraps up our show. Thank you all so much for listening. This will be coming out probably in a week from now, but that means nothing. As I said, this is imperfect. But this will be the second episode of the show. And followed up by another review later down the line. I will announce that later on my socials. And thank you all so much. This is Animazing, the stories of Kevin Seymour. I am your host, Aramis, and our guest, David Vincent. We thank you for listening to the stories.
Thank you, guys.